Morning. Hiya, folks. I'm here as one of Colin's puppets. My name's Strawy. I've got blue stripes and green stripes. Here, tell me, have you been watching all the stories and listening to them on there? Well, we've got a new one today. This one is about Gideon. It's a strange story, but I know Colin's going to explain it to you. But before then, I just want to mention a few people. Hi, Eden and Isaiah. Hi, Preston. Oh, Preston, I'm sorry about getting the word wrong. You might hear it right today. And let's see. Hi, Chloe, Leah, Jack and Rebecca. Hi, Naomi and Sarah and Madison. Hi, Molly. Hi, Olivia. Wow, I've got lots of ones listening to this. I'll have to mention some more tomorrow. But do me a favour. Listen carefully to the story, 'cause it's rather good. See you again, folks. Bye. Morning, kids. Hi, how are you? Day 3. We're on day 3. I can't believe this. We've already got the story of Noah done. We've already got the story of David and Goliath done. And now we're going to talk about Gideon. Wow. A third story. Yay! I'm excited. Now, have a guess who the character would be with Forky this morning. Bet you not one of you can guess. Bet you can't. Hold on, I'm going to show you. We've got our little Forky, who was made out of rubbish or trash. Now, I had to say both words because there's a certain little boy kept me going last night because I was doing it all wrong. But anyway, we'll not worry about that because that was a bit of fun. Now, here's who's with Forky today. Yay! Who knows who this character is? Look, if I go like this. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, it's Slinky. Slinky can stretch out. They can go this shape, can go that shape. Ooh, I'm telling you, he could move like anything. You know, Slinky is just one of those characters who is just so stretchable and dependable and would help anybody out of a situation. And he can be stretched right out or he can be right in. But you know, Gideon in our story felt as though he could not be stretched out like that to deal with the situation that God wanted him to do. You see, God came to Gideon while he was threshing out in the field. Does anybody want to know what threshing means? Yeah, it's like cutting down hay. That's like the old days, what they used to do. I know farmers have these big tractors and threshers and all these things that they can do all this stuff now, but I'm afraid in those days you had to do it yourself. And he was out threshing wheat in a hidden place so that the Midianites wouldn't see him. When an angel of the Lord came to him, and the angel spoke to him and said to him, "Look, the Lord is with you, and you're a mighty, mighty warrior." Gideon replied, "But if the Lord is with us, why is he sending all this bad stuff at the minute? It's really weird." Well, the Lord replied to Gideon, "Go with all your strength and save Israel from the Midianites. And I am going to be with you. And I'm sending you to do it because I trust you." Then Gideon started all the excuses of the day because he just thought, no, there's no way I can do this. He says, "Lord, how can I save Israel?" He says, "My people are the weakest people there is. How could they possibly do that? And I'm the youngest in my family." But God said to him, "I will be with you and I will help you defeat them." But then Gideon asked for a sign. Now, Gideon didn't have a Bible to follow and didn't know how or if God went around talking to people. So he wanted to be sure. First he prepared an altar and he put an offering on it for God. And that's the way that the people did in those days when they wanted to ask for forgiveness. of God. He set his offering, which was meat and unleavened bread, down on a rock, and the fire came from the rock, completely consuming all the meat and all the bread, so it took it all up. And the angel of the Lord disappeared. Then Gideon realised that it was a real angel of the Lord. On that same night, the Gideon who took down his altar his father had built for a pretend one to Baal, because they would all the other people were worshipping false idols. Like, imagine worshipping your money box in the corner. That's kind of silly. Or worshipping your best pair of shoes, or worshipping your skateboard outside. That's not what it was about. The Israelites had started believing in these false gods. So Gideon took 10 of his servants that night, and they tore down all the altars. The people were raging when they realised what Gideon had done. But Gideon still wanted to make sure that God would save the Israelites, so he asked for another sign. He placed a piece of wool from a sheep onto the ground. He says if there's dew on the fleece and the ground is dry, then he would know that God was with him. And what do you think? That's what happened the next morning. Yep. The fleece was soaking, but the ground was dry. But Gideon still just wasn't 100% sure. So then he turned around and he said, well, what if the ground is soaking and the fleece is dry? And that's exactly what happened. Now, Gideon gathered up the army and they started out to the Midianite camp. And they went and they headed down there and they wanted to see what was happening. So God said to Gideon, anyone who's afraid may go home now. Amazing, 20,000 of the men left. There's a lot of people, you know. More than half of them went home and only 10,000 stayed. But Gideon still felt all right. At least he had 10,000 men, so that was quite a lot, so he thought he could still manage it with them. But then the Lord told him to take them to the water. And he told them to see how they would drink, if they would sit on their knees or if they would lap like dogs or whatever. And that would separate the men. I'm thinking that took quite a while for the men to do that. It's surprising because only 300 of those men got on their knees and drank from their hands. And all the rest drank like silly dogs. So God told Gideon that only the men, which was 300 men that were on their knees and took the water in their hands like that, were the ones that he was to keep. During the night, the Lord spoke to Gideon. If you're still afraid that I'm not going to be there to help you win, go down to the valley with your servant where the Midianites are staying and listen to what they're saying. You'll feel much better after that. So guess what? He was still afraid. So off he went and snuck down to the camp. Just as he arrived, he heard one of them talking to his friend about a dream that he'd had. He was saying, I dreamt that a round loaf of bread came rolling into the camp. And it came so fast, it ran right out through all the tents and it knocked everything all over. As soon as Gideon had heard this, he worshipped God and ran back to the camp. He returned and called out, get up! The Lord is going to give us the Midianite camp. So he decided that all the men in the three groups would give them all trumpets and empty jars with torches inside. So Gideon and the men surrounded the camp in the three groups. When Gideon shouted to blow the trumpet, the rest followed. And then blew their trumpets and yelled, for the God and for Gideon's. Then they broke the jars and carried them, holding onto the torches in one hand and their trumpet in the other hand, shouting, a sword for the Lord, for Gideon. When the Midianites heard this, they started to get up and they were yelling and shouting about, and then they got all confused and they hadn't a clue what was going on, and they started to freak out and they started to turn on each other and they started to kill each other. The rest that got away were captured. And Gideon sent messengers ahead of them to tell them that they were coming. That was the day that God and Gideon defeated the Midianites. Without God, none of this would have been possible. I hope that after this, Gideon learnt his lesson, and he did, and he stopped worrying. With God, nothing, absolutely nothing, is impossible. That was quite a long story this morning, wasn't it? Yes, it was. But it just shows you that God's there again to help, and no matter what the situation is. Absolutely. I wonder will we do any wee questions this morning? Let's see what I've got today in questions. I wonder would these be hard or will they be easy? Oh, I think they might be. Might be a wee bit hard. I don't know. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Right. Here we go. Oh, what toy in Toy Story can stretch your way out? I hope you can get that one. Now, where we see, I'm trying to think what would be really good questions. What is the name of the toy that we're talking about in the stories this week? Whose great escape is it? And who was the person that Gideon was hoping would be with him to win those battles? Who was the person that Gideon was hoping would be with him to win the battles? And how do we know that God will always be with us? Do you think it's because we ask him to come into our lives and forgive us? Do you think it's because we can pray to God? Or do you think it's both of those? What do you think? I'm going to leave that one with you. Now, I was going to do the memory verse this morning. But do you see that silly dog yesterday? Have a guess what he done? Yeah. He took my words. He ate my words. And when I get the hold of him, he's going to hear me. So instead of the words having in front of me this morning, I wonder who's clever enough to try to remember them. And tomorrow I'll make sure that I have more words again. I'm going to find that dog. And that dog is called Cooper. He's a little rascal. Imagine eating up all my words. He's terrible for eating paper and socks. He loves socks. Eats them all the time. Absolutely, he's a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Right, let's see if we can try this first. Now, you are the body of Christ, and each one of you is a part of it. And that was 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 27. Do you know what? We're going to do it tomorrow again. If I can find that dog, because he's went off on one of his adventures. I don't know where he's went to. I don't know what he's doing today. He seems to have just disappeared. But I know when he'll come home. Yeah. Wonder, do you know when he would come home? When he's hungry. He'll come home when he's hungry. That's a bit like us boys and girls and us adults. We come home when we're hungry too. Who always comes in after being outside playing and shouts at Molly, I'm hungry. What's for tea? What's for dinner? Oh, what is it about our stomachs? We just need to get them filled. But we also need to get our heart filled. And our heart can be filled by God. We just need to ask him in here. And his love will be inside us. And that will fill us up forever and ever and ever. That means that we will have him inside us. And he's going to be there. Just like he was there for Gideon. Just like he was there for Noah. And just like he was there for David. I just think that's fantastic. That he's there. And he's there for me every day too. Oh, I just love that news. That news is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. He even was there whenever he made her. Okay. And even whenever Fergie was made out of rubbish or trash. Yep. Those were ideas that he put into a little person's head just to make something. And this little person, made of trash, meant an awful lot to all of his friends. Now, I'm just wondering, have you all been very good? I hope so. Because if you have been very good, I'll bring another friend tomorrow. He's a big, furry friend. He's a bit of a rascal, actually. But I'll bring him tomorrow. I think I might allow him in the house as long as he doesn't trash the place. For he's desperate for doing that. He really is. He's so big, he keeps breaking things as he comes in through the door and everything. And I'll give you another clue. He keeps swinging about the lights. I don't know what sort of an animal he is. But you'll have to wait until tomorrow and find out. Now, before I go, in your wee pack, there's 2 sheets. There is a picture of a boy, and then there's a picture with it that has like a gown and hat and torch and everything. This is Gideon you're making up. So what you do is you cut out all the pictures, like the dress and the hat and everything, and you stick them onto Gideon. But colour them in first, because I know you can make really bright and colourful ones. And I will see you all tomorrow. Now be good. And be very, very good for your mums and dads and grannies and grandas. And also remember, God's here watching you every single day. So I'll see you tomorrow. Now be good. Bye.